Bright skies with a drop in humidity on the way. But I'm tracking our next chance for storms and how it could affect your weekend.
Storms turn deadly. One man has died and trees are down all over the triangle after last night's severe weather. The status of the cleanup and when power will be restored. Restrictions being lifted. Due to recent rainfall, Raleigh will be dialing back level 1 restrictions on water use. When you'll be able to return to your normal usage of water. And we love sharing good news this noon hour. The city of Raleigh plans to lift stage 1 water restrictions on Monday. Yeah, it deserves some applause. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Chris Levinger. Thank you so much for joining us. You love to see it, right?
Of course.
You see, all that rain, it really helped the situation. The Falls Lake water supply is now 84% full. And despite the improvement with the water supply, well, the storm also led to neighborhoods dealing with the downed trees and the power lines. And this on your screen, this is what it looked like this morning in Ashworth Estates in Raleigh. That's where homeowners are cleaning up. And we'll show you a little bit more of that in just a bit.
Yeah, quite a bit of damage revealed in the daylight. We have team coverage of the storm's impact. We begin with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner out on the WRAL weather patio. Elizabeth, last night's storms have cleared the humid air to move in.
Yes, eventually it's going to clear the humid air. I'll tell you, standing out here on the patio, it is warm and it is still humid. But gradually this afternoon, we'll start to see a drop and an even bigger drop tomorrow. You can see one more replay of all the storms coming through. And of course, we're quiet right now. We take a look here at the gardens behind me, and we are seeing some haze in the sky. We're also seeing some big puffy cumulus clouds developing out there. None of those are likely to bring us any rain for today, but it's definitely making for a pretty sky. 83 is our current temperature. Our dew point still at 67. That actually should feel pretty comfortable. Maybe it's just that I'm wearing long sleeves because, man, it feels toasty out here. Our dew point, of course, is the measure of moisture in the atmosphere, and it lets us know how it's going to feel. Our dew point in the 70s feels pretty miserable, but in the 60s, it feels more like tolerable, and that's where we're headed this afternoon. Tomorrow also, notice what we see on Thursday. If you can take a look at the graph on the top right side of the screen, comfy is in that yellow zone, and we're going to see that for part of the viewing area. We're sort of somewhere between comfy and humid again tomorrow. Temperatures, not bad. I mean, certainly no big heat like we saw for much of July. Temperatures in the upper 80s for this afternoon and then into the 70s for this evening. Of course, we're looking at the improvement in the lake levels. We're going to see if there's an improvement in the drought monitor for tomorrow. But July had an unusually high amount of precipitation. I'll show you how much and what that ranks it in terms of all-time July precipitation coming up.
Okay, sounds good, Elizabeth. We'll see your full forecast in a bit. So, folks, let's show you the cleanup happening locally after the severe weather last night. We've been talking about this, but one man died in Wake County because a tree crashed into his home. That's where we find WRAL's Sean Gallagher live right now. Sean, this is a neighborhood near Raleigh and Wake County. What's the mood among neighbors on Barton's Enclave Lane?
Yeah, Chris, there's a lot of empathy here for the family of that lost person and also heightened concerns. You can see here behind me where that tree was uprooted and really sliced through this house, and there are a number of trees just like this all throughout the neighborhood that we're told is a big selling point of why people wanted to come here. But now they're looking at it a little bit differently because of this tragedy that happened last night, people fearing their home could be next. Now, family identified the victim just within the last 15 or 20 minutes or so. 71-year-old Mike Ferguson, his wife calling him a people person who worked at a Harris Teeter in his retirement. He does leave behind his wife and 4 daughters. Ferguson was inside this home last night around 10 when the tree fell through the house. Law enforcement say 2 other people were inside at the time, but uninjured when that tree fell in here. Now, this morning there was even more debris scattered around this neighborhood from the storm, but nothing like this. It's raising concerns among neighbors here.
Well, the storm was unexpected, first off. I didn't even know about the storm, but it was onset. It came along quickly. Like I said, I heard the hail, and it's just very unfortunate. You know, the trees, it definitely gives me pause and makes me realize I need to look at some trees too, but definitely feel for the family.
Now, you're looking back here live where this tree fell through this home. This is the most tragic case of a tree falling in our area recently, but far from the only one. We've seen trees falling at a higher clip lately. That's due in large part because of the recent drought conditions that we've had, but the influx of rain that we've had just this month alone is making these trees far more susceptible to falling. Tree experts say you want to look for signs of uprooting or vertical cracks in a tree that could show it is a potential problem, or if you see sap coming out of the trees that you're unused to, it could be signs that that tree could be the next to fall. If you do see any of those signs, you're encouraged to call a tree expert of some kind to come and take a look to make sure nothing bad happens, just quite like what we're seeing out here today. But in Wake County, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
Just a tragedy for that family. Well, when storms approach, make sure you have the WRAL weather app downloaded and turn on notifications so you get alerts when storms are on the way. You can also follow them on the radar.
Breaking on WRAL at noon, we've confirmed new charges filed against a local teen accused of using AI to create sexually explicit images of Wake County teens. Laura Levine has these breaking developments from the WRAL Live Center. Laura.
Yes, Renee, WRAL investigates, and Alex Littlehouse first broke this story last week after speaking with some of those parents of those really young victims. And since that report, a spokesperson with Nightdale Police has confirmed, as you mentioned, a 10th felony charge in his case, with that same teen now facing another charge of sexual exploitation of a minor. So to recap, the teenager is accused of using AI to create sexually explicit images of Wake County girls. According to Nightdale Police, he also now faces charges related to destruction of material. The latest charges involves the daughter of a parent who spoke anonymously with WRAL last week. The parent expressed frustration that prosecutors had not initially filed a charge involving the manipulated images of her daughter. That victim will now be added to this investigation. So now it appears that police are reviewing some of these cases and some of these reports coming in and considering more charges. WRAL will stay on top of this story with a full report coming this afternoon in our evening newscast.
Significant update with that, Laura. Thank you. North Carolina's new state budget isn't even a month old, and it's already back on the table. The Senate approved a bill today that adds millions for sporting events, and it moves more power inside state government. WRAL state government reporter Caroline Yaffa is live at the legislative building. Caroline, why all the changes to the budget?
Well, Chris, this isn't something that's unusual. Lawmakers almost every year when they pass a state budget, they add some technical corrections to this budget bill. And again, it's just usually housekeeping, maybe fixing some typos here and there. But today there are some major policy changes and millions of dollars in new spending. And I want you to take a look at two of these provisions that I highlighted on your screen right now. So among the biggest items, up to $25 million for the next Summer's World Military Games in Charlotte, and up to $40 million over 4 years to keep a PGA Tour qualifying event in Greensboro. The bill also shifts more authority to some Republican-led Council of State offices and adds new limits on the governor's appointments. But both parties, I want to be clear, have reshaped state government when they were in power in the legislature. Republican leaders didn't debate that criticism on the floor today or yesterday, but they've long said that the Senate should serve as a check on the governor. Democrats say these changes go way too far and could violate the state's constitution.
I can't vote for a bill that has an unconstitutional provision in it that impairs the governor's ability to do his duty and to take care that the laws are faithfully executed.
The bill now heads to the House, and we'll keep you updated on any new developments and when it heads to the House and if they vote and debate on it. Caroline Yaffa, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Caroline, thank you. A Wake County lawmaker who floated a proposal that would create a dress code for North Carolina teachers now says she has no active plans to file a bill. In a Facebook post, Republican State Representative Erin Paré says she is considering a bill that would require gender-appropriate professional attire for public school employees. She says this was meant to protect children after parents reached out with concerns about a teacher who she described as transgender. Legal analysts say such a dress code could conflict with Title VII. That's a federal law that prohibits employment discrimination. WRAL education insider Emily Walkenhorst is talking with Paré right now. Look for more reporting on this story beginning at 4 o'clock.
The UNC Board of Trustees is meeting for the first time today since UNC football general manager Michael Lombardi was placed on leave. Now, neither the chancellor or the trustees would speak with WRAL about the Lombardi situation. National news outlets reported that he is on leave because of an HR complaint, but we are working to verify that independently. UNC Athletic Director Steve Newmark was also at this morning's trustee meeting. Lombardi on leave actually happens just weeks before the start of the UNC season. Now, while we don't know how long the leave will last, UNC's employees policy says that administrative leave should go on no longer than 30 days. And WRAL will be following developments on that story today, so look for updates on the WRAL News app and during our evening news starting at 4 p.m.
Dr. Anthony Fauci pleads the fifth. The man who helped lead the U.S. through the COVID pandemic was called to testify before a Senate committee today, but said very little. The hearing is part of Senator Rand Paul's investigation into the origins of COVID-19. The two have clashed on the topic many times over the past several years. Senator Paul has previously alleged that Fauci lied to Congress and the public, an allegation that Fauci has denied. Fauci declined to answer questions to avoid the possibility that Republicans could try to use his testimony to prosecute him for perjury.
Given Senator Paul's obvious obsession with calling for my prosecution, his repeated slanderous comments about me, and recently his publicly releasing my unredacted personal diary aimed at embarrassing and intimidating me, the only conclusion I can reach is that the sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say something, anything, that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, quote, behind bars, unquote.
The diary contained Fauci's concerns about the pandemic and frustrations with the government's response.
A photo is giving us another look at a Kerry mother before she disappeared in Grenada. Liz Waddell's family released this photo, and an Airbnb security camera is what captured this. The photo released hours after new surveillance video was released too, and you can see Liz jump from the dock and into the water. Now, about 5 minutes later, her friend is seen adjusting a beach chair on the shore. The last time we see Waddell, she appears to be swimming away from the Airbnb toward the beach. Witnesses who were jet skiing in that water say they talked to Waddell. They asked her if she needed help because she was far out in the water, but she declined. And they say that she said she was a good swimmer. Authorities say that Waddell's husband and her travel partner are cooperating and not considered suspicious.
Next at noon, two planes too close. See and hear the moment they nearly collided at an airport.
Plus, Tony Romo's arrest. We're showing you body camera footage of the former NFL player being pulled over and how he did during a field sobriety test.
Auditing Helene response. The state auditor's opinion of the storm response to Helene, including how money was spent and where the state failed.
Coming up next, see storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
Well, the FAA is investigating a near collision between two Delta planes at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Listen.
Stand by, Delta 2472. Delta 2472 on a heading at 340. What do you need from us?
Delta 2472. Delta 1568, turn left. Can you turn left?
We're in the left turn now, Delta 1568.
Okay, Delta 1568, thank you. Turn left. Delta 2472, turn right now, heading 090.
Oh, goodness. You see how close that was? One plane was approaching the airport to land as another was preparing to take off. And Delta Airlines says teams train for these uncommon scenarios, but no one was hurt.
We're getting our first look at police body cam video from Tony Romo's arrest on suspicion of drunk driving in Milwaukee. The video shows Romo being pulled over last week for unsafe passing. The deputy suspected the former Dallas Cowboys quarterback of operating a vehicle while impaired and placed him under arrest. Romo was taken to a police station where he was given a field sobriety test. That's when he was asked to do exercises, mentioning that he's had 2 back surgeries. At one point, he was asked if he would submit to a breath test, to which Romo replied, "Oh no, we are not doing that." That's when he was handcuffed again.
Mr. Romo.
I'm going in there, I promise you, but I'm telling you also.
Mr. Romo,
I don't think you understand. Like, you literally can't.
I trust you. I understand.
I don't think you have.
Mr. Romo, I understand, but I got to have you grab a seat in the car now.
I promise you,
okay?
I'm going in there.
Romo is due back in court on September 21st. 4 women have come forward with accusations of criminal sexual conduct against award-winning actor Jared Leto. In a new BBC documentary, the women claim he acted inappropriately or assaulted them when they were teens. The new allegation comes after multiple women accused Leto of sexual misconduct last summer. In all, a total of 10 women say the incidents occurred between 2002 and 2016. The 54-year-old has not responded to a request for comment.
Well, heavy rainfall flooded roads near Albany, New York this morning, and that created dangerous conditions for drivers. And video shows at least one family escaping a car that was stranded in waist-deep water. A man carried a child to safety before returning to help an older passenger from that vehicle. And forecasters warned the rain could cause flooding and make travel dangerous across the region.
Raleigh has seen more than a foot of rain this month, and we've done it all without a landfalling tropical system. Thank goodness. Meteorologist Chris Michaels explains the driving force behind this sudden change in today's Ask the Meteorologist.
It seems like we turned the calendar to July and everything just flipped. So far, at least in the Triangle, it has been the second wettest July on record with more than a foot of rain at RDU. That is the latest tally after last night's storms. And thankfully, we haven't had to deal with a destructive tropical system. It's been a series of fronts that move through. Now, the guiding wind with these fronts has been farther to the north. So once they move in, that wind is too far separated and our front just kind of stalls out. That matters because these fronts, they almost provide like a breeding ground for new storm systems to form and ride along them, bringing in some tropical moisture along with it. Now, fronts are more than just the difference between hot and cold. They're really just a difference between air masses, and especially this time of year, it's separating less humid air from tropical moisture. So that converges along the front. As it converges, it rises. You get taller storms and taller clouds. Those storms then move very slowly, so they're able to drop a lot of rain in a short amount of time.
I mean, we needed that rainfall, right? Obviously, we saw the update from the city of Raleigh, where now they're going to be lifting the stage 1 restrictions on August 3rd.
Yeah, finally, that we've been under those restrictions since April, so that's been a long time coming. Slowly, we're putting a dent in the drought, Elizabeth.
So glad to see that. I tell you what, when we were looking at, March and April and, the drought was getting really bad and we were looking ahead thinking, wow, how are we going to get out of this drought? Our summer pattern is not typically like this. Our summer pattern typically is just some isolated cells that don't really produce a whole lot of widespread rain. So it's really been key to have those stationary fronts that have just sat here and allowed our precipitation to keep falling that Chris was explaining. It's a good explainer of why things are really turning around for us. It's 83 right now, the dew point of 67, so our dew point's starting to drop a little bit. That's definitely good news. A dew point of 70 or higher feels pretty miserable, but if we can bring it all down into the mid-60s, it's more comfortable. In the 50s, it actually starts to feel good. All right, you may also notice some hazy conditions out there. We've had some smoke from the wildfires up in the north around Canada and back to the west that's been in our area, and we definitely saw that this morning. Standing here on the patio, it looks like maybe it's already started to clear up a little bit because it doesn't look hazy, at least from here, and it certainly looks like that will be the trend. We're going to see high pressure starting to build in. It's going to push all the tropical moisture southward. It should help to push the smoke southward too. Still going to be warm though. High 89 in Raleigh and Durham today and 92 in Fayetteville. Bulls game this evening. Last night, of course, the Bulls game got canceled because of the strong thunderstorms. There was a tornado warning that moved through parts of Durham County early yesterday evening. 5 o'clock, still 89, but with our drop in humidity The shady side of the stadium should feel really nice. Temperature by 7 o'clock should be around 85, and it'll keep dropping. Of course, doubleheader, last night's game and tonight's scheduled game. The green shaded area is not rain. A lot of times when we show you green, it's rain. This is just going to be moisture in the atmosphere, tropical moisture that makes it feel really humid. Watch that northerly flow coming in and keeping that moisture down to the south through Friday. Then we're going to start to see what's back to the west, pushing back in, and we'll see that humidity starting to climb Saturday and Sunday. We may be back to tropical on Sunday. That will be the day we start to repeat the pattern with showers and thunderstorms. 91 is our normal high. We do have 2 days in the 7-day forecast at 90, both Friday and Saturday. And then after that, it looks like we have the possibility of high temperatures being a little bit above normal for the next 6 to 10 days. It's been quiet in the tropics. You may wonder why that is. We have some Saharan dust, which is dry and warm, and it doesn't allow the storms to develop. More wind shear, too, that tears the storms apart. So things look like they'll stay quiet in the tropics for a while. We start to pick back up with showers and thunderstorms on Sunday. That continues at least through Monday and Tuesday, and we'll talk more about that change in the pattern in just a little bit.
And happening here in the WRAL Live Center, we continue to track those power outages after the overnight storms that we saw. And I can tell you that we are seeing some improvement here to the west of us with restoration efforts. But here in North Raleigh, you can still see more than 1,000 customers without power. And that's because there were several reports of several different pockets here in North Raleigh of trees that came down. In fact, Raleigh police confirmed to us this morning, since 8 o'clock last night, they responded to about 18 separate calls of trees down. So, of course, we're going to continue to track the outages. The current estimated time for restoration here in North Raleigh is 6 o'clock tonight.
Okay, thanks for that update, Laura. So here are the stories that we're working on for our later newscasts on WRAL. The damage debate. If a tree falls during a storm and destroys property, who's responsible for cleaning it up? Well, new at 5:30, 5 on your side explains that after last night's severe weather.
Plus, keeping her legacy 1 year after a 10-year-old girl was killed in a boating tragedy on Harris Lake. Her family is turning heartbreak into hope. Tonight at 6, how they are honoring Brooklyn Carroll and working to make the water safer.
Members of the Hollywood Foreign Press are suing Penske Media Corporation and others. The company is accused of fraud by attempting to create an entertainment monopoly. The claim is the former owners of the Golden Globes fueled a backlash and even a boycott against the show, with the goal to devalue it and then reacquire it. HFPA members say they were made promises, but Penske broke them by attaching unworkable conditions.
Apple is testing a system that uses AI to record, repair, and tech support conversations between customers and its employees at the Genius Bar. The new pilot program, called Live Notes, is available in a limited number of stores. Bloomberg says it transcribes and summarizes discussions, adding them to the employee's iPad as part of the repair session. The goal is to save workers time, but some employees are concerned the recordings could be used in performance reviews. Apple says recordings will not be saved. The FCC is banning humanoid robots made in other countries due to national security concerns. The agency says the move is not targeted at a specific country, but it will have a major impact on China, which has been ramping up production. The U.S. is also banning imports of power inverters, which are often used in solar panels.
Credible concerns versus food phobia. Americans are using more caution to avoid contracting cyclospora. Mental health experts explains how to keep those concerns in check.
And here's a look at your winning North Carolina Education Lottery numbers. We'll be back with more news right after this.
Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
A new report from the state auditor's office shows how much Helene relief efforts cost. The deadly storm hit parts of the North Carolina mountain communities back in September 2024. The report also raises concerns about how that money was used over a 7-month period. WRAL's Ken Smith joins us now with a closer look at the numbers. Ken, we are talking millions of dollars.
That's right, Renee. The state auditor found that the state spent more than $111 million to operate roughly 55 base camps. I want to take a look back at the damage that storm left behind in communities like Asheville, like Chimney Rock, like Black Mountain. First responders, rescue personnel, and others worked countless hours to console families, help displaced residents, and clear debris. Now, the base camps were run by the North Carolina Emergency Management Agency and a Texas-based disaster relief firm. Now, this auditor's report found operating the base camps cost a little more than $500,000 a day. Lodging was around $800 a day. Also, the state spent roughly $42 a day on meals for each worker. Now, the auditor's office flagged the meal expenses, saying the cost was based on the anticipated number of people rather than the actual individual consumption. That, as the state auditor explained, amounted to a lack of metrics to actually track the cost of meals. Now, North Carolina Emergency Management responded by saying the personnel and resources needed to respond to this type of disaster required a significant logistical operation to house, feed, and support workers. Also, the state agency noted FEMA reviewed and validated each invoice referenced in the state auditor's report. Of course, you can read more about this report on WRAL.com.
A lot of information there. Okay, thank you, Ken, for processing that for us. The current Congress is among the oldest in U.S. history, and a recent CNN survey found the majority of Americans think that's a problem. The average age of current sitting U.S. senators is 66, with more than a third over the age of 70. At 92, Republican Chuck Grassley of Iowa is the oldest member of the Senate, and he's third in line to the presidency. The poll also finds a majority of Americans want to see more transparency around elected officials' health. Nearly 2/3 of Americans say elected officials, they ought to release all medical information that might affect their ability to serve. Medicare premiums are expected to rise next year, and that's because the Trump administration is ending a Biden-era program that lowered the cost of drug cost averages for millions of Americans 65 and older. For the past 2 years, the federal government gave health insurers billions of dollars in subsidies, and this was meant to help keep prescription costs down. Once those subsidies are gone, millions of Medicare users will have to pay hundreds of dollars more per year for their medication plans. About 25 million Americans use a standalone Medicare plan for their drug coverage.
Hoke County school officials are cutting the ribbon on the new Hoke County High School. The grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremony is happening at 10 next Thursday morning. Students, staff, local leaders, and the greater community can stop by the ceremony and get a first look at the new space. Some exciting news for Harnett County schools this upcoming school year. All the schools in the district are now classified as community eligibility provision schools. That means for the 2026-27 school year, each student will get breakfast and lunch for free.
Long before AI became a buzzword, Cary-based SAS was already putting it to work. As SAS celebrates its 50th anniversary, the CEO and founder, Dr. Jim Goodnight, explains how the next generation of AI fits right in the workplace.
Generative AI is not going to replace humans. It can be used by humans to make the performance in their job a little bit faster. But humans need to be part of the loop.
You can watch more of our exclusive interview with Goodnight tonight as he reflects on the company's beginnings and what's next. Watch WRAL Presents SAS at 50, airing tonight at 7:30 on WRAL.
Since May 1st, the CDC has received reports of more than 4,100 lab-confirmed domestic cases of cyclosporiasis from multiple states. Experts say outbreaks like this one can have major mental health consequences. Mandy Gaither shares the difference between food caution and food phobia.
Each week in the U.S., the CDC says it can coordinate up to 36 investigations into foodborne illnesses involving multiple states, whether it's due to germs like E. coli, salmonella, listeria, or a 9-state outbreak of explosive diarrhea from the cyclospora parasite.
It sets off an alarm system in the brain.
Clinical psychologist Susan Albers with Cleveland Clinic says taking recommended precautions like washing food, avoiding avoiding specific produce of concern, and staying updated on credible recall information are all healthy reactions that match the risk.
Food phobia or extreme anxiety goes beyond the normal level of concern or caution. It begins to take control of your life.
Albert says examples of this include avoiding restaurants, food preparation, or grocery shopping, having extreme intrusive thoughts, repeatedly and excessively checking for recalled foods, feeling anxious every time you eat, or throwing away food that's not related to the danger.
Focus on the facts, not the fears. Check in with credible sites. Avoid doom scrolling.
Albert says people who already have health anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, and those with disordered eating or an eating disorder may be more vulnerable to food phobias around these outbreaks.
If you notice that your behavior is changing to the point it is affecting your health, your emotions, your relationships, this is a time to check in with a therapist.
Psychologists say people with health anxiety can also hyperfocus on some of the natural digestive cues, such as fullness or a gurgling stomach. She says making those symptoms more significant than they are can create an intense amount of anxiety that can become overwhelming.
All right, preparing for kindergarten. Ways to help your rising kindergartner get ready for a big year. The skills to lock in to set them up for success.
And keep bears away. What the State Wildlife Resources Commission says is the most effective way to protect your house and drive away bears without harming them.
It's a good time to remind you, download the new WRAL weather app and plan ahead for severe weather anytime. Turn on alerts, that way you can be notified about severe weather approaching you. Getting a live look right now over at the DBAP there. They're going to be continuing the games tonight that had to obviously get postponed because of yesterday's severe weather. Make sure you go to WRAL.com to find that information as you're watching WRAL News. Available on Hulu and the WRAL app or your TV or streaming device. So if your little one is getting ready to start kindergarten, well, now's a good time to start preparing them. And not just with learning things like letters, numbers, and colors. Pediatricians say other skills that are important include teaching your child how to sit still and how to follow instructions. The same goes for waiting for their turn to talk, using an indoor voice, and knowing when to ask for help.
There's a lot of different things that parents can do to help their children be ready. There's academic readiness, there's social readiness, and there's behavioral readiness. And each one of those things needs some time and attention in order for a child to be successful in school.
It's also important that your child is fully potty trained. If they're struggling, pediatricians recommend avoiding things that have zippers, buttons. If they're just an elastic waistband, that can go up and down.
Some homeowners are turning to electrified wires to keep bears away from their property. Now the State Wildlife Resource Commission is offering some guidance. Properly installed electrified wires are the most effective, non-lethal way to keep people, property, and bears safe. It creates a negative association with your property, which teaches bears to focus on natural areas and food. Wildlife workers recommend electrified fencing, which can be turned off if pets or children around. Electrified unwelcome mats can be placed in front of doors, windows, and other entryways. You see, it works by shocking the bear's paws, but people can step on them while wearing rubber-soled shoes and not get shocked. Fascinating new research sheds light on the powerful mother-daughter relationship among bees. Smithsonian researchers studied the sweat bee species, and they found that queen bees of that use pheromones to communicate to daughters that they should stay in the nest to help their mothers raise more offspring instead of leaving to establish nests of their own. The female bees that stay in their mother's nest become worker bees who don't reproduce.
That's fascinating. It's curious to see what research is
so they don't fly in the nest. They stay close.
Okay, we learned new things today. All right, your time is 12:41 on this Wednesday. Violent storms slam the Northeast. From possible tornadoes to flooding and snapped trees, we're going to show you some areas that are cleaning up after that storm.
Storms moved in fast, but one man moved faster. Hear how he avoided being smashed by a tree that smashed through his home.
Laura Levine here in the WRAL Live Center right now following some breaking news. Raleigh Police Sky 5 flying over the scene as officers are investigating shots fired here near New Bern Avenue. You can see Raleigh Police having this section of the parking lot blocked off. For people familiar with this section of Southeast Raleigh, this is the same parking lot shared with the Walmart here. And they actually have different parts of this area blocked off. But again, we're seeing a massive response with the Wake County Sheriff's Office also at the scene. Right now, it's unclear if anyone was actually hit by those shots fired. So we're working to learn more information about any possible victims. But it appears this happened just after 12:15, where officers responded to shots fired in this area. As soon as we get more information in regards to what happened, we will be sure to let you know. But as Sky 5 pans out, you can just see again that large response of officers here at the scene. We'll keep you updated as soon as we learn more.
Quite a number of police vehicles responding to that. All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Laura, thank you. People along the East Coast are cleaning up after severe storms. Take a look at the damage in the nation's capital. Numerous trees toppled by the rain and high winds. Some of those trees brought down power lines. Several neighborhoods were also flooded by fast-moving water. And get a load of this sight in the Great Smoky Mountains. You can see what appears to be a tornado forming near 6 Mile Mountain in Tennessee. That funnel slowly taking shape and then reaching toward the ground as a severe thunderstorm swept through the Smoky Mountains.
Well, Maryland homeowner is sharing his near-death experience during severe weather. He says he heard a rumble of thunder, and then minutes later, a tree crashed through his home. Here's Christian Flores.
I was shutting the windows, and I heard the cracking sound. And I dove that way because I literally saw this tree heading my way.
As quickly as storms blew through Montgomery County, Ridgely Chichester had to move faster, and he has the cuts and scrapes to show for it.
And I had to crawl on my hands and knees to get out of that other door.
But his home is in even worse shape. The roof is caved in, insulation is spilling out, and windows are shattered.
The mammoth thing just ruined the house. I mean, the kitchen and the breezeway are definitely messed up. Luckily, it missed the garage. My car and truck are still fine.
Chichester says he and his family escaped without any serious injuries.
My wife and dog are fine. I'm very lucky, I know that.
And unfortunately, Elizabeth, we had that gentleman who died after a tree crashed into his home here in Wake County. Severe weather, I mean, when it strikes, it can be, pretty bad.
Yeah, our hearts go out to his family, that's for sure. We don't have that sort of thing happen too often in our area, which is nice. Lots of trees down, but it's rare that they're fatal. We take a look behind me right now, and it feels okay out here, actually. I feel like I can start to tell that the humidity is backing off a little bit. Lots of sunshine, a little bit of a breeze. Maybe that's it. Our breeze is making it feel a little more comfortable, and our wind is coming out of the north. And so that is going to bring us a slightly less humid, slightly cooler air mass over the next 24 hours or so, until we start to see a reverse in the winds, say Friday into Saturday. It's 83 right now, which is not bad, but we could be headed into the upper 80s for this afternoon. Of course, our cold front has pushed out, and that northerly flow is going to make it feel a little bit more comfortable for us going forward. We did have a number of trees down, though, across our area. Of course, the circles there, those are all wind damage reports. A lot of those in the western part of the state. And then if you happen to be following along late yesterday, we had a really powerful cell that moved out of Alamance County into Orange and Durham counties before it started to fizzle out. And you can see where we really ended up with that streak of circles there. Those circles are where we had wind damage. We had trees down, and it just sort of continued to move through the northern part of Wake County. A few of them down into Fayetteville, and then more of those off into the eastern part of the state. Looking at no repeats of that anytime soon. Sunday, it's only a 40% chance of rain. That'll be our next chance for some showers and thunderstorms. Could end up with anywhere from a quarter to a half an inch of rain with that on Sunday, and that kicks off a wetter pattern that will continue into the first part of next week. It's really been incredible to see how much rain that we've seen in July. Of course, we talked about it a couple of times already during this newscast, but over a foot of rain, and that puts us at the second wettest July on record, which is amazing. It's more than we saw from January until June. That's why we were in such a bad situation with the drought. But wow, we have really started to catch up up, and that's wonderful news. We do get a break for it today, tomorrow, and Friday. Saturday, it's a really small chance for rain, and then Sunday, 40% chance, and we're going to keep it with some scattered afternoon and evening thunderstorms Monday and Tuesday. Too early to say if any of that would be severe, but we've had a number of severe storms in July with this pattern, so if it continues, that certainly could be an issue. Look at the overnight lows. We tend to concentrate on our afternoon highs this time of year, but 65 for tomorrow morning, 64 for Friday morning, so it will feel nice and comfortable, at least to start the day. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with your top stories.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. Cleanup is underway after last night's severe storms. A Wake County man was killed when a tree crashed into his home on Barton's Enclave Lane near Raleigh. Family identified him as 71-year-old Mike Ferguson. Here's his picture. 2 other people inside the home were not hurt. Tree experts say recent drought conditions followed by heavy rain can weaken trees, and they recommend watching for signs of uprooting and having problem trees inspected.
North Carolina's state budget is back on the table less than a month after it became law, and the Senate approved a bill adding millions of dollars for sporting events, including funding for the World Military Games and a PGA Tour event. It also moves more power within the state government and limits some of the governor's appointments. The bill now heads to the House, and we'll keep you updated as this story develops.
We've confirmed new charges against Wake County teen accused of using AI to create sexually explicit images of local girls. WRAL Investigates first broke the story last week. Since then, Knightdale police tell us the teen now faces a 10th felony charge of sexual exploitation of a minor, along with charges related to destroying evidence. Police say they are continuing to review additional reports and more charges could follow.
Big sports spending. Should North Carolina spend millions in taxpayer dollars to keep a golf tournament in the state? Well, today at 4, WRAL's NC Capital team gives us a closer look at what's in the state budget bill and where that money would go.
New research shows that chimpanzees hug and hold hands during stressful situations to comfort each other, just like humans do. Scientists say these connections help ease tension and prevent conflict in groups. Researchers say friendly touch brings comfort and diffuses tension, might be an evolutionary behavior. Researchers say chimpanzees not only used physical touch to console each other, but they also use gentle pats proactively to help prevent their peers from getting upset. Such empathy.
Well, our pet of the day is from Cat Angel's Pet Adoptions. Judith has a delicate patchwork of gray, cream, and soft peach. She's bonded with her sister Lydia, who brings out Judith's adventurous side. Now, Judith is looking for a patient, loving home where she and Lydia can live together. She is spayed, microchipped, and up to date on her vaccinations. And if you would like to meet that beautiful girl, you can fill out an application on the Cat Angels website.
Okay, this year's International Pet Photography Award finalists are giving us plenty of pet-related eye candy. The contest captures the souls of our furry friends. Take a look at these cute kitties. They are joined by some dapper dogs as well. All right, let's not leave out the horses and other animals. This year's competition received more than 4,200 entries from 48 nations. There are a dozen categories. The category winners and the Pet Photographer of the Year winner will be announced at a Zoom Awards ceremony on August 1st. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can get breaking news updates anytime with the WRAL News app. Have a blessed day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.